Hello everyone, welcome at ACP Twitch channel, and today we have a discussion, very important topic, finances and the chess players. How chess players are managing their finances with an unstable income, and for that we have here guests invited to cover this topic and to come up with some final answers and some tips that will be very useful for chess players. And I would love to introduce our guest and a specialist, Luca Barillaro from Italy, also a chess player and independent financial advisor. And also, Luca is a very enthusiastic chess player and is very, very close to the chess world. We also have a professional chess player, Irina Bulmaga, international master, here with us. She will ask the questions, all the questions that the chess players might have. And of course, guys, we're inviting you in our chat to get engaged with the questions. Ask us anything that you are wondering. How the finances should work for you or for chess players, and here we are to answer your questions. So to have the stability for chess players is very, very hard. Irina, that is a question to you. I would like to ask you as a chess player how you are trying to manage your incomes.
Well, the first priority is to basically have those incomes. And then I'm not so great at managing all of this. I'm not really good in investing, but as I was saying, I'm trying to get better at it. I'm considering doing a master degree related to the crypto and the trading markets, and I'm very curious to learn new things about it.
All right. So, Luca, we really need your advices, your tips to us how we can manage our finances and what kind of problems usually chess players are having. Because, as I mentioned earlier, we don't have stable income, so we're not getting payments each month. And some of us have projects like 1 month and not in another month. So, can you please tell us more about this problem or the topic?
Yeah, first of all, thank you. Thank you. And thanks to ACP for inviting me this evening. And I have to say that dealing with income uncertainty and market uncertainty is really an hard situation to face. But I think that first of all, chess players have a big advantage compared to other people in the sense that they are used to think in terms of strategy and planning. And these are two key points when someone has to decide how to invest his or her money in markets. But on the other hand, the drawback of being a strong chess player, especially for strong chess players, is that one of the key requirements that a strong chess player must have in order to succeed is to have a big and strong self-confidence that sometimes result in having a strong ego. And in financial markets, usually people who tend to have a very big ego tend to lose money because the market is bigger than anyone else. So in order to succeed in markets, you must be always humble. And so it's sometimes knowing some strong chess players who tried to invest his income in markets, that the real problem was not his bad decision making, but the real problem was that the strong chess player tended not to admit mistakes, because usually when you are very successful in a field, then you tend to think that you will be successful also in investing, but it doesn't work that way. So first of all, I would say that you must be very humble, and you must have a plan, just like in chess. And have a plan, it means that maybe you should first realize that financial markets changed a lot in the last 20 years. The impact of technology shaped and changed completely the financial environment, just like in chess. Nowadays, chess is completely different than the one we used to see at Kasparov time in 2000 or the 90s. And that's mainly due to technology impact. So many years ago, we had, for example, adjourned games, just like we had open outcry. So the PITs, the exchange of financial instruments through open outcry, so through the hand signals and the floors in New York Stock Exchange, on London Stock Exchange. But nowadays, portfolio managers are machines. More than 80%, 85%, according to US SEC, so the Security Exchange Commission, the American watchdog, more than 85% of trades in financial markets are machine related, are made by machines. Mm-hmm. And this goes almost also like in chess with the use of engines, the broad use of engines in preparation, Stockfish, AlphaZero, Lila, and so on. So all these algorithms are so strong and so quick in financial markets that sometimes you cannot even see the real price of assets because they go so quick that in a blink of an eye, the price can change, and even the distance between you and the exchange can make a difference in seeing the right price. So first of all, understanding that 85% of the trades are made by machines can help you to understand that you cannot really beat them at their own game. Right. So trading in short term, nowadays, it's almost impossible. So, okay, you can be successful for 1, 2, 3 weeks, maybe months, if you are at the right point at the right time. So it means if the market is going up like it went up last year, but sooner or later you will give back everything you made, just because it's impossible. It's really something impossible for us human. Just like it's impossible to beat even for the world champion Stockfish or AlphaZero in the long run. Maybe you can win one game, but not a match. So maybe I think that the best way is to invest in education, first of all, just to know the basics. Mm-hmm. And then realize that maybe what we used to see in the 90s in Leon Advanced Chess Tournaments, so the combination of human plus machine, so the human, which is helped by algorithms and programs and softwares, then maybe this is the best combination to invest in markets, mm-hmm. because machines and algorithms tend to take away the emotional part that all we as human beings have when we deal with money and we deal with investing, when we deal in everyday life. So taking out the emotional part, I think it's very important.
Speaking about education, how much time do you think does one need to educate themselves in trading and investing, and what is the best way to achieve that?
Yeah, I think that first of all, education in financial market, just like in every other field and in chess as well, is an ongoing process. So you never stop learning, you never stop upgrading your knowledge, and you never stop studying. But let's say that in order to know the basics, it should take around 6-8 months just to explore all the basic characteristics of different asset classes like bonds, like equities, like real estate, and so on. And especially it's important to know the rules, because I saw in my career a lot of retail investors who had the right ideas on markets. So they invested on the right asset, but they choose the wrong financial instrument, because maybe the instrument had too much leverage, the instrument had a structure that was too bad for the investor in the long run. So it's also important to know the rules, the market rules and the rules of the single financial instrument that an investor wants to choose. It's not enough to say, oh, okay, I want to buy gold, or I want to buy something related to crude oil. because, for example, if you want to invest in crude oil, then you have different gradient of risk. You can invest on the future on crude oil. This is a direct investment. You can invest in stocks related to oil sector, which is another gradient of risk and investment. Or you can invest in currencies historically related to crude oil. So everything is different. And the education, I think, goes also through the understanding of how to invest and which instruments you have to use, because every investor has a different risk tolerance. So maybe we have the same idea on an asset class, but you must use an instrument which is different from mine because we have different risk tolerances. So there is not a simple solution to your question, but overall, I would say that in 6-8 months, the basics are 6-8 months are what it takes to understand at least the basics, and then of course. Practice is very important. Just like in chess, it's not enough to know the classics or to read books, but you have to play tournaments because it's completely
to make your
different.
own mistakes, no?
yeah, because if you read other people's mistakes on books, it's not like when you do the mistakes. Because when you do your own mistake, then it's like they will remain in your brain. So hopefully you will not do them again.
Yeah, actually, why ACP raised this topic here is very interesting because a lot of chess players can find themselves related to this. I think all of us can find related to this one because there are level of the chess players, of course, top grandmasters, which their income is different from the rest of the chess players, and very often chess players who are having decent income but not still enough, and they don't know how to invest in and where to invest. They are starting to do something else, and that we call gambling, right? And a lot of players can relate themselves to this one. So let's bring this topic to show our viewers. Is this a real problem? Is gambling a real problem for chess players? And then how we can solve it? What we can offer to them instead of gambling? What they can do?
Well, gambling is a disease. The tendency to gamble is not only unlikely part of the chess world and chess players, but it's a disease that affects a lot of people. And this comes for sure because of the general tendency to think that financial markets are something like a game. In many languages, you don't mention investing, but you talk about playing markets, which is completely wrong. It's not a game. But in the common sense, a lot of people think that by investing markets, it works like a game. So, and then another consideration is that people, especially people who do not have a stable income, once they have a small amount of money to invest, they pretend the market to give them an extra profit, just because maybe they have to buy something, they have to buy a new car, they have to buy a holiday and so on. So this is one of the most made mistakes, not only among chess community, but generally speaking among retail investors. So I have a small amount of money, I have an amount of money, oh, I need to buy a car, then let's see if I invest here, I can make the 20,000 that will grant me the new car. The market doesn't work like this. So it's the other way around. So if you go investing, pretending that the markets will give you something, that's the best way to go bankrupt. And so for gambling, I would suggest that it's important to understand that investing is a serious thing. and it's not a game. Of course, if you want to sometimes invest like some $100 or euros just as a game, that's something that a lot of people do, and I have nothing to add about it. But on the other hand, I would say that it's important to understand that investing is about planning and is about preparation, just like in chess. Of course, also professional chess players, sometimes they can play coffee house or they can play some bullet game, but that's not about serious chess. And I would like to mention Botvinnik, who was completely against Blitz and so on. And it strikes me that especially young players are playing thousands of games, bullet and Blitz. This is like this is the equivalent of gambling. You know, I was preparing against a Norwegian player in the last European Cup in Meyerhofen, and on ChessBase he had like 60 games, but he had more than 3,200 on Lichess. So
wow, all the bullets.
So all bullets and some blitz. So again, in investing is just the same. So investing is a serious thing that needs preparation and planning. Sometimes, okay, you can play some bullets.
Yeah, just for fun.
Yeah.
And speaking about gambling and mistakes, what would be like the most common mistakes a beginner would make when becoming a player? Or not a player, a wannabe specialist on the financial markets?
Well, I think that one of the biggest mistakes is to overestimate themselves. So that's a real problem that becomes bigger and bigger if the first or two trades are successful, because the newcomer starts to invest, he or she makes money, and then they think they are geniuses. So paradoxically, it's better to start with a loss, because this creates immediately a setback and maybe obliges you to think what you are doing. But and then the second one of the other mistakes is investing in wrong products, investing in wrong arenas. You have to choose your arena. You have to choose the financial market which you understand more, because a lot of people tend to invest in something they do not understand, and this creates problem because then you are not in an arena in which you can count on an edge against other market players. So I would say that these are two very common mistakes. But on the other hand, I would also say that before investing, there is a process that everyone should undergo, which is the assessment of their own risk tolerance. This is something almost nobody does. So before investing, everyone should think, okay, which is the amount of money I can risk, I can invest, and that I can afford to lose without changing my lifestyle. If the answer is zero, then you are not ready to invest. You should stay out. Mm-hmm. But this is a test that you must make before investing, not when you are already invested, because it's too late.
So, basically, like in a chess game, no, like in the preparation before the game, when choosing the opening, you should think what amount of risk you want to take, and then go according to the plan. And because if you improvise during the game, sometimes it doesn't go as you would want.
Exactly, and this changes during the tournament, changes during your life as a player and as an investor, because when you are 30, you don't have the same risk tolerance compared than when you are 40 or 50 or 60. So this changes during your lifetime, and changes also according to market situation, because just like in a chess tournament, because there are some games you must win and you can win, but there are some games where draw is okay.
Right.
So even in markets, there are some moments in which the markets are easy, and okay, everybody makes money. It's easier. Everybody has the good strategy. Everybody's a genius. But sometimes, and this year is an example, 2022, to make a draw, so to make 0% as a performance, it's a great result. So sometimes you have to be happy with a draw because you cannot think always to win.
Right. And speaking about markets, I'm curious, what do you think about the crypto market? Because I think many chess players are particularly drawn to it.
Yeah, okay. Cryptos, are considered very, let's say, sexy in this year, last years, because they are a 24 hours market. It's always open, Saturday, Sunday. It's not like stock market and bond market that's on Saturday and Sunday are closed. So they seem created very much for gamblers because they never stop. And believe it or not, I'm too old to trade cryptos because it's an arena I do not understand. I prefer to perform in other arenas like bonds, like commodities and equities. So I have to admit my shortfall. I have to admit my weakness, and I don't trade these markets. I know these markets. I studied, and then I realized they are not my given financial assets. They're not my preferred financial assets, and because I don't have any edge, I don't understand them. Mm-hmm. Okay, I know how they are structured, but I find it easier to trade other type of markets. But overall, I think they are very volatile, and usually you should use a small amount of money to trade this kind of markets. The average trade on cryptos is less than $300. So this means there are thousands and thousands of small retail traders and some big traders. Mm-hmm. And the third problem is all the cryptos are not regulated. The markets are not regulated. So this means they are they can be easily manipulated. I don't know if you remember what happened with Twitter by Elon Musk, who says, oh, I want to buy this crypto. No, I want to sell this crypto. Tesla will accept this crypto as a form of payment. This is market manipulation. And if you have the wrong side of the trade, you lose money just because someone decided to write something on Twitter. So it's very hard. It's not my arena.
Luca, you say that crypto to be at crypto trading in this business, let's say, you still need to learn how to do it. You still need to lose to win then later on, and it's just not something that you invest and then you are just waiting for the win to come into your bank account.
Yeah, especially in crypto. But overall, I would say in the last 10 years, passive investing showed all the possible weaknesses. Nowadays, world goes very fast. What used to happen in 5 years now happens in maybe 5 weeks. And passive investing was good when we had a stable economy, when we had stable geopolitical equilibrium and around the world. But nowadays, in the last 10 years, everything changed. The flow of information is always quicker and quicker, thanks to socials and so on. And so I would say that active investing is the only way to face markets and to invest. This doesn't mean necessarily that you have to trade every day. That's not what I want to say. But for sure, you have to take care of your investment and always set your risk tolerance in every part of your portfolio, because look what happened in the last days with the United Kingdom bonds and the Bank of England complete chaos. Yesterday evening, a Bank of England governor said, we will stop quantitative easing, so we will stop buying bonds from pension funds from next Friday. And the market collapsed. S&P 500 collapsed, Nikkei collapsed, and this morning all the bonds collapsed. So it's all correlated. If you are a long-term investor, I mean, you are exposed at least to 3 or 4 crashes every 10 years. and this is unacceptable. You have always to manage risk.
Mm-hmm.
What about investing in real estate? Is it like one of the safest options? Because this is what I used to think.
Yeah, real estate was at least one of the safest options until 10, 15 years ago. Nowadays, it's very much related to interest rates because especially in the western part of Europe and in the United States and England, people tend to buy houses and real estate on leverage, making loans and debts. So whenever the interest rates go up, then the demand will dry up very quickly. And we are already observing this phenomenon in the last weeks with the last macroeconomic data in US and Europe. But on the other hand, also in this field, it depends what for real estate we mean. If we mean to buy the first house, so your first investment in real estate, the house where you will live, then okay, this is of paramount importance. This is very important. This is not an investment. This is something that goes beyond the investment valuation. Yeah, exactly. But if you start to think about second house, third house, maybe an apartment to rent, then it goes under the investment category. And so this must be assessed observing how the interest rates will go, how the overall economic situation is going, how the costs will impact the owner of the real estate or the tenor of the real estate. Because of course now we have big energy cost problem in Europe, and this will affect for sure real estate in all countries.
I see. And then which type of investments would you then recommend to someone who, let's say, could save up per month 500 to 1,000 or a bit more euros?
Yeah, I would say that, again, first of all, it depends from your risk tolerance. So first of all, you have to test your own risk tolerance and then your goals. So what you want to reach, what you want to have as a risk and as potential reward. And secondly,
let's say sorry for interrupting.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Just to imagine a situation, because for us as chess players, we will not have pensions or anything. And let's say if the goal is to have, a nice pension, so that you don't have to worry about anything in the days when you are not able to play anymore.
I would say that more than half should be invested in bonds. With the diversification in different hard currencies, so like euro or USD or Australian dollar and so on, and or Swiss franc. And second, I would say that it's important to invest in a way that doesn't create, let's say, an emotional setback when the market will go against you. So it's important to have a long-term strategy and to have a good diversification in different sectors and different currencies and different asset classes. So some gold, some bonds, some equities, maybe high dividend equities. So equities that give you a dividend because they are utilities or energy-related stocks and so on. Of course, the amount of money you put as an investment every month must be stable and must be an amount of money that you don't need in the next 24 months. You must be sure about it, because otherwise it's always a back and forth process in which you invest, and then after 3 months you have to take it away. So there is no long-term planning anymore. And then last but not the least, it's very important to assess your own lifestyle, because one of the biggest mistakes investors tend to do when they start investing is to raise their lifestyle once they got profits on the markets. This is a very big mistake. Profits are only numbers. Even if you cash in the profit on your bank account, only numbers. So if you start, say, for example, with 10,000, and after 1 year you have 11,000, then you have always to start again with 10,000, because once you go bigger and you invest more, the risk grows up. So a lot of people tend to raise their lifestyle just because they made some money on markets. And then when they lose, it's very hard to go back to the previous lifestyle. So always be humble also in your lifestyle, I think. Everyone should do that.
You mentioned investing in different currencies and so on. What about the particularities of the Forex trading then?
Forex trading is another kind of 24-hour market. It's always open. Okay, Saturday and Sunday it's closed, but already at Sunday 11 p.m. European Central Time, it's open. The point is that FX market is an interbank market, so a market made up of bid and offers made by banks. It's not a regulated market. So it's very likely that when you trade FX, your order will never reach the interbank market, but will be simply taken by your own broker, who will be your counterpart. So this means that your losses will be his gains and the other way around. But statistically, more than 80% of retail investors lose money. So this means that the brokers are profiting from the fact that on big numbers, like in a casino, they make money because a lot of people lose money. So, and sometimes you don't even watch the real prices on trading platforms, because they tend to manipulate for some sense the cross euro dollar or dollar GBP or whatever, because it's not a regulated market. So if I tell you now, let's see the price of Apple stock on New York Stock Exchange, then it's something that everybody can verify, and it's only one price. But if I tell you euro dollar, then who says maybe on one platform will be 0.9711, and another platform will be 0.9711 or 12, which doesn't seem a big deal. But on big numbers, difference of only 1 cent makes a lot of money. So in the long run, the odds are against you, I think.
What else do you think about related to chess players? Do you know any of them who are particularly good at investing?
Yeah, I know some of them. I know also a lot of them who were successful in the past, but gave back all their money to the markets because they didn't stay humble. So it's always very, very hard to be consistently successful for a long period of time, and especially if you are a professional chess player, because you know better than me that when you're a professional, you must be always ready to play in a very focused way in every tournament. And this cannot happen if you know in the back of your mind that you are losing money on some investment. So your performance will go down dramatically. So I would suggest that maybe the right approach is to invest, but always remain very conservative and humble. Just not because you are a top grandmaster, you will be successful consistently on markets.
And that's, I believe, a very good advice, no?
It is. I just wonder if these players who has invested, were they more ambitious or they were more patient? Because we know that chess players like to be a bit careful, think longer, and then make decisions after that. And also another thing is like sometimes people think about chess players that chess players are very smart, they are very good at maths, and there are a lot of myths here that we are daily facing, which is very good for chess players in that sense, because we're getting a lot of benefits just being called chess players. And my question is, what can chess player, professional chess player, use his or her skills, which he or she got from chess, to the finances, and then to use both of them like together, not leave chess to go there and to do something else, but to learn something from finances and just to combine chess and another profession and help to grow as a professional chess player too.
Yeah, I think that chess players are very much at an advantage when dealing with financial markets. It's not by chance that after the collapse of Soviet Union in the 90s, start of the 90s, a lot of investment banks in US were looking for new traders and new algorithmic traders. And being a chess player was a plus, was a point of that could give you more advantages in being hired by those banks. And in fact, a lot of programmers, software experts, and traders in US investment banks are former Eastern countries chess players, like candidate masters or also master sport, former Soviet sport masters. But I also think that being a chess player is useful even if you don't want to be a professional investor, but maybe you want to work in finance sector. And I always say that a lot of maybe international masters or maybe second or third rank grandmasters could make more by working in financial sector instead of staying in the professional chess and having to win tournament after tournament every month. So I think yes. My answer is yes. Being a chess player helps a lot. Strategy, planning, tactics is something that we use every day in financial sector, especially when you have to build a portfolio, to build an asset allocation. We use this strategy of having a core strategy, maybe 80% of the portfolio, and then 20% of tactics. But of course, so some trades that go back and forth on a short-term basis. You have the strategy that it's a long-term and the tactics that it's short-term. But again, as Botvinnik used to say, he used to say, chess is a game of trading. So it's always trading values, like in a chess game. And in financial markets, it's just the same. So if you don't have a good and a sound strategy, you cannot invest only with tactics. Okay, it's just you can win a couple of games in chess with some cheap trick, but you cannot win a tournament. So it's the same in finance. You must have a sound strategy, and then you can fine-tune your strategy with some tactics, some trades in the short term. But overall, the mindset that chess players and investors use tend to be the same, very similar.
What about the differences in behavior between men and women? Because we see that in many fields there are quite some. Does it apply to investing as well?
This is a very tough question. There is a book that you will find at the end of my presentation that will be available on ACP website. And the title is The Hour Between Dog and Wolf. It's a very interesting book because in the book it's described how the authors made biological tests on traders, both men and women, in major investment banks around the world. So both in US, in Australia, in Germany, and UK, in France, and so on. So the result of these tests are quite interesting, and we can sum up the results in a couple of concepts. So first of all, of course, men and women are different, biologically different. So their approach to risk is sometimes, generally speaking, is different. Men, of course, are more risk takers because they feel a reward for every win. And physically they feel a reward with high level of testosterone, while women are by nature, generally speaking, more conservative. So this means they are more risk averse. And the authors of this book came to the conclusion that maybe having more women in charge of investment banking could reduce the so-called sequences of boom and bust that we saw periodically on markets, because all the sequences of boom of prices and then crashes are mainly due to the fact that there are too many risk takers. So having more women in charge of investment banking could be maybe positive, could give some more stability, but who knows?
Interesting.
It's a very interesting topic, and also shows how it's important to have a balance in whatever field you are, to have stability and to have some of the people who can make some risks at the right time. So that's a good point to know, because now at this stream we can also just find so many connection between chess and the finances. How the thinking process and the whole process can go, right?
Yeah, there are many point of contacts.
Well, I have another question for you. It is a tricky one because I was, just wondering or dreaming, let's say, how much money would be enough to have in order not to work any other day in your life if you are, okay, let's say, a decent investor.
Yes, tell us, please. All of us want to hear it.
What is our goal? Yeah.
No, okay. Very hard to say. Of course, first of all, as I was mentioning before, it depends from your own lifestyle. Mm-hmm. So again, when you start investing and maybe you are investing well, you are making good profits, just first advice, don't change your lifestyle, because the more you end up raising your lifestyle, then the more you will need from markets, the more you will need to perform. And when you have the stress of performing, then the chances that you will do something wrong becomes higher and higher. So I would say that there is not a fixed sum of money, because of course it depends also where a person is living, what is lifestyle, if he or she is alone, if he or she is married, children, no children. So it's impossible to say a fixed amount of money. But I think that would be a big mistake to consider investing as something that will give you the possibility not to work any other single day in your life. So I would say that maybe it's better not to reach that point, but to always find something to do every day, maybe with less pressure. But it's not about not working anymore. It's about quality of life. So I've seen a lot of people making a lot of money on markets and then becoming slaves, market slaves, because they had to endure their lifestyle because they were making a lot of money. So they were not happy in the end. So quality of life, I think, is more important than the absolute number of euros or dollars that you can make on markets.
All right, and we've heard quite a few pieces of advice from you, but if you were to give only one advice to a beginner, what would that be?
Cut your losses. You must, whenever you go wrong in investing, just cut your losses. So close your position, take your losses home, and then start again the day after or the week after. It's
so basically make a draw on the next day, no? If to translate in chess language.
Yeah, all the Soviet school advice. After a loss, just make a draw and think. Yeah, because it's useless. It's very dangerous also to try to regain what you just lost, or to try to go on with your wrong idea, which in chess could be the wrong plan. So it's better to cut your losses and then think again. So resign the game, useless to go on and losing hours in a lost end game maybe, and then take a rest, and the day after there will be another game.
That's
so
a good
many
advice.
similarities with chess. I never thought there would be this situation. I mean, I thought it's a bit of a different world, but it appears that it's not that different after all.
Well, the one curious thing is that finance sector in banks and also stock exchanges, is populated of many candidate masters and masters. For example, former CEO of Italian Stock Exchange, Raffaele Jerusalmi, is a candidate master. The chief of energy products in Italy of Italian Stock Exchange was Ennio Orlandi, who was is international master and former member of Italian team. Then there is a bank in Italy whose CEO is a chess master. And also in Europe, there are many banks where CEOs or CFOs are candidate masters. Of course, they are not professional chess players, but they played at least when they were juniors. They won or they came in the first three position of national junior championships. So it's a chess lobby is quite present in finance world.
Then it makes a lot of sense what FIDE has started to do or is planning. I'm not sure about this world corporate chess championships, because then maybe it would be a way to attract more people from the corporate world to invest into chess or to take an active interest in it.
Yeah, and think about all the finance institutions and also funds that use chess metaphor in order to sell their products. We have in Luxembourg L'Echiquier, who has the chessboard as a symbol. We have many funds in Italy using chess and chess pieces when they have to promote their financial products, because of course chess is considered as something strategical, something very intellectual. So it's a good initiative by FIDE in trying to involve all these institutions, also mainly banks and funds in this championship.
One thing that I can just remember right now from the interview which I had from one of the person who works now for her government is that at any meeting, at any interviews, she always has chess set at the table. So if someone comes at the meeting, they see chess and they ask some questions, and if there is an interview, it's always recorded, and chess is always a part of her interviews and the visual aspect. So that's also quite nice to see how chess players are and also the professionals are just advertising chess in worldwide. Look, I have a question to you. We understand that you are a professional at trading and the finances, but we know just a little bit about your chess career. So we would like to know more about you, how you started to play chess, how often do you still play chess, and what is your connection right now at this point with chess?
Okay, I started playing when I was 10, so relatively late. And I played all the junior tournaments in Italy and until I came second, third in the junior under 20 championship, the Italian championship. And I played my first international tournament in Soviet Union in Moscow when I was 18. It was Moscowski Elieta, so Moscow summer, scoring 50%, but were all times 1990. And then I went on playing, and then I stopped playing serious chess in 1994 after playing Reykjavik and Wien because I didn't have time to study anymore because I had to graduate, and then I went to London to work in a in an American bank. And so I stopped playing in Wien because last round, so it's funny because I was 5.5 out of 8, and I play against the international master from Romania, and he crushes me completely. I used it to play at that time the English variation used by Korchnoi with b4 when black cannot take b4 either with the knight or with the bishop. So he crushes me completely in 30 moves. And then when we analyzed the game, because at that time it was a good habit to analyze. Nowadays, everybody goes away from the chessboard and goes to say what Stockfish has to say about the position, which is crazy. But anyway, and he goes like, but I knew that you played this variation. But back in 1994, there were no softwares. Okay, chess base was that version number 1 or number 2. There were no wiki in chess, so on. So, but how do you know that I play this variation?
So was because it the chess informant or?
Yeah, no, he went like, but your game you played in Reykjavik last February and that you won has been published by Korchnoi in his Survey in yearbook. And I didn't know. How can I imagine that Viktor Lvovich publishes my game, a Patzer game? It's impossible. So I come back to Italy and immediately go to the chess bookshop and say, give me the yearbook. And then I found my game. It's incredible. But then I realized that I didn't have time anymore to study chess. So I just quit. And then, now I play only for my local chess team, the master, so the top league, the Italian top league, team top league. And then sometimes I play online and so on. And then, I decided to play this Meyerhofen championship just to check how I could perform after so many years. And I performed well, not bad. I played some good games, also remembering some classics, because I won a game with White using this famous Korchnoi idea that he played knight a7 in the Mar del Plata, published against, so Korchnoi Ulak, So I remember, and then I won another endgame, but overall, it's always nice to be in the chess tournaments. You meet people, and we are a big community. And the real, very important thing, and the real thing I like in chess community is that everyone tries to help each other. So whenever I go abroad, I send an email to the local chess club. Everybody will do the utmost, the impossible to help me. And the same goes for chess players coming to Italy, to my town, Bologna. So this is a real positive thing of being part of the chess community, something I like.
Yeah. Wow, that's really nice to hear, because lately with all those cheating scandals and so on, we have been hearing more of the bad things related to the chess world. So it's really nice to hear the good ones as well.
Yeah, indeed. At this point, I think now we are also ready to get some questions from our audience, so we can open up the question and Q&A segment of this stream. And if anyone in our chat feels to ask some question, this is the right time to ask and get the best advice from Luca. And there is one comment that I would love to read it out. Mr. Barillaro is a well-known expert in investments in Italy. Cool to have him here. So that's true. So guys, this is the moment to use this opportunity to ask the questions. And look, I can bring up the page of the tips that you are suggesting, and maybe we can go that one. And by the time we also have questions, we can just come back and answer those questions. So right now it will appear on the screen, those tips. Yeah, we almost covered the most of this 10 points that you put it out, and we're gonna put this also at ACP social media platform, and you guys can take a look at this. And the first point that you put is here to set your goals and your risk tolerance. So shall we go to these tips once again?
Yeah, it's let's say the first test everyone should do even before putting the first trade in the market, so taking the first investment decision. What are our goals, what we want to reach, how much we can risk. Without doing this is like driving blindfold, which is not
ideal, no.
No. And then, of course, choose your arena. So choose the asset class that you know best or in which you feel more comfortable. And then trade what you know, not what you don't know, because a lot of people tend to trade just what it's traded by anyone else, just because they heard that some friends traded this or that stock or this or that cryptocurrency. It's important to trade only what we know, and if we don't know anything, then we do not invest. It's simple as that. But regarding the other points, I think the last one is very important. So learn to survive. This is not a 100-meter race, it's a marathon. So sometimes you must try simply to survive, because markets are very hard, are very tough. So it's important to last, to survive, because sooner or later the markets will become easier again. But if you try to force things, to force matters, and to risk, even if the market is very risky, is very volatile, then you will not be able to survive. You will not be alive when the market, financially alive, of course, when the market will be easier again.
All right.
I have a chess-related question to you. It will be my last question. Like, if you were to invest in or to buy shares, let's say, in a company which works in chess, which would be the decisive factors which you would take into account? I mean, would they be any different to the moment when you invest in any other fields or not?
Well, there will be not any other difference because, of course, you have to check balance sheet, you have to check earning before interest and taxes, and investments, of course, the mission of that company, what they want to reach. As you may know, Magnus, listed on Oslo Exchange, his own company.
How is it doing there, by the way?
No, now, okay, the stock went down from 25 to 10, but then it went up, I think, 14 kronos, because there was a buyout from chess.com, so they bought the company. All these companies are almost a startup, so they don't make profits in the short term. They have big projects, big investments, but in the short term they seem not to be profitable. So when it comes to investing, you must not follow your heart. So it's just you must be very cold-blooded, and so chess-related company wouldn't make any difference compared to other companies. So numbers are numbers.
I see. So it's still to appear a company which would make you feel compelled to buy shares chess-related.
Yeah. No.
All right, we have
Yeah,
We
we
have
have
some
some questions.
questions. We have some questions. So let's start to read it out and answer some of these questions. And I hope more and more
Yeah.
people will open up and write us some questions. So the first question is from the Coverta. How much of my income should I be investing? Let's say that my income is $50,000 a year, for example.
So okay, we are talking about 50,000 net.
Mm-hmm.
So net of taxes. So from 50,000, you should take away your yearly costs. So what costs? The cost of living, the simple cost of living. Then say, for example, we take out 30,000 for cost of living. Then you have to take away the financial cost if you have any debt. So maybe you have a loan, you have a mortgage, so the cost of debt. So if it's present or not, so let's say it's 10,000 or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then you have to add 10% because of unforecasted problems. So something that can happen that you have to manage during the year. And then we come maybe to 45,000, then you have 5,000 available for investing. Mm-hmm. Because the first of all, you should invest with the money you can afford to lose. And second, with the money you don't need for sure or almost for sure in the next 24 months. So I think this is an approach. And then, of course, it depends from your risk tolerance and your goals. But income is only one part of the story. Cost of living and eventually financial cost due to potential loans or whatever must be considered.
Okay, thank you. Another question is from Scottish Chuckberry. The question: there are some chess people who are working in the black markets, chess classes, playing for clubs, getting money in an envelope. How do you see that matter? That's the question.
So you mean they take money without declaring taxes? They
yes.
take money cash?
Yes. Which chess players do like.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, what can I say? It's money that will never be able to be invested. So it's just cash money, and it's something that everybody knows happens. Mm-hmm. But it's clear that it's against the law. So it's something that I think it's a little bit off topic regarding our today's discussion.
Right. And another very, very interesting point is here GM Solver, who is also a chess player, well-known grandmaster. Last point is interesting about surviving. There is one grandmaster I know who makes plenty of draws even against lower rated grandmasters, and he's from top 50. And somehow the approach of surviving works for him.
Yeah, that's also what Spassky. If you remember Spassky during the World Cup at the beginning of the 90s, if you look at the cross tables of World Cup tournaments organized by GMA, Spassky made a lot of draws. Mm-hmm. So he was in surviving mode because maybe he really understood that he couldn't compete anymore with top players. But anyway, in order to remain in the elite of chess players, draw was okay for him. So yeah, surviving is something. It's an important aspect of dealing with uncertainty and dealing with a very difficult environment. And then, of course, surviving, it doesn't mean necessarily that you always have to play for the draw or you must be always on the defensive side of the game. But in investing, it means also that then when the markets become easier again, then you go for the win.
Mm-hmm. I see. Another very interesting question can be for our viewers, if it is possible to get the knowledge how to invest, how to manage your finances with some books, with, for instance, coaches, but not the university, not the degree? Or is it better to have a degree? How this should work for chess players? Because we know that a lot of chess players choose the path to play professional chess, and they don't have time to study other topics and other subjects. That well, and we know that chess players always want to be best, so if they cannot really split themselves to be best in both fields, so is it possible for chess players in the short term to learn finances at the high level?
Well, I think that the problem is that nowadays on the web we have a lot of noise regarding information, not only in finance, in chess as well. So just like in chess, I wouldn't advise, and I think you will agree with me, I wouldn't advise to buy books like How to Win with the Nimzo Indian or How to Win with the Sicilian, which is just titles for selling the books, but there is nothing in that kind of books. So again, in finance, I think it's important to being very selective when you have to choose which kind of resources you want to study. So usually studying official resources proposed by universities, it's the best way to learn the basics. Then, of course, on live, you have good contents, but I always advise to, let's say, listen or read contents prepared by certified financial advisors, registered through national authorities. So someone who is scrutinized and who is approved by local authorities. Because otherwise the risk is to follow advices of someone who wants to sell you something at all costs, or someone who is not really an expert of the subjects. Because of course, nowadays with socials and so on, a lot of people tend to play the expert role on social. But beginners, both in finance but also in chess, do not have the instruments to understand who they have in front of them. So better maybe to choose books and educational contents that are certified by institutions, because this gives you at least the guarantee of quality. Of course, they are all these contents are very difficult. It requires time to follow them and so on. But the same goes with chess. I mean, if I want to improve my calculation, I have to buy a book by Dvoretsky. I don't have to buy a book by or by Ramesh. Yeah, I have the Ramesh one. I have the Ramesh one just beside me. I can tell you. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. Somewhere here I have the Ramesh one. But here you go. You see? Here you go.
Nice.
So when I'm commuting to the office, sometimes I try to solve some. I use it to train actually for the European Team Championship. But of course, these are serious guys. These are serious teachers, and the first thing they tell you in the book, in the preface, this is not an easy book. So
and not one for lazy people, no?
Yeah,
not for lazy people, exactly. So the same goes with finance.
That's very impressive. Another very interesting question also, again from the cover. So, is there any worldwide international association or body investments experts to rely to? Because I can see so many fake experts selling their services. Is it not clear who can be trusted?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's really a good question. Usually, I would suggest to go directly to resources given by national exchanges. So Chicago Board of Trade, CBOT, CME, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, or London Stock Exchange, or Frankfurt Stock Exchange, Eurex, which is the biggest derivative exchange in Europe, based in Frankfurt. Italian stock exchange, which now is Euronext Paris, because they were bought by Euronext. First, they were owned by London Stock Exchange. So generally speaking, I would say, try to find resources directly on the websites of national exchanges, because there are official resources, and many of those resources are for free. For free, because it's in their own interest to have an informed audience, an informed category of investors, in order not to have systemic risks or complaints and so on. And then, of course, you can go on, and the very same exchanges have academies with certified teachers that can guide you through different topics. So if you want to improve and improve your knowledge of derivatives, you have courses on derivatives, you have courses on stocks, on commodities, on interest rates, and so on. But generally speaking, all the basics are free, and they don't want to sell you anything. They just, all their contents are checked by national watchdogs and by their compliance offices. So they are very serious. I would advise to go through the website of exchanges.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Irina, you have a degree in marketing, as I remember, or management? Management. So after, from this perspective, how often do you use your profession to your another profession? Because you're playing chess, like you just ended tournaments 2 days ago. I know that you're gonna play another tournament. So basically, you are a professional chess player, and you also studied this marketing. And how often do you use this? And at this point, after this talk, would you consider if you could go back to study finances, or would you consider to study now the finances? And do you see this topic as very important to you as a chess player?
Well, it's quite funny because I have never used my degree, I believe, in any way, but well, it actually took me like 6 years to pick up my diploma from the university, because, well, I mean, I don't need it as a chess player, right? But I'm happy that I did it, because it gave me a great experience. And there were subjects which really interested me. For example, some statistics. I like my way around numbers. And that's exactly why I was thinking that maybe educating myself, or continuing to educate myself in finance, something about markets and so on, would be good for me, because, well, at some point I will need to do something else other than chess, and seems like a good idea to me.
Good to hear that. I would actually, I also have a very similar story. I just picked up my diploma this summer and I finished the university. I don't even remember when, because yeah, basically you don't really need diploma to play the tournaments. But you also, like, when I was choosing my profession, I was thinking to choose something very close to me as a character, and also to chess, because chess is always there. Was that in your case as well, Luca, that you're choosing your profession, which was close to chess, that you already had these skills from chess, and somehow you also were thinking that you would be always in chess world, and these finances would be useful for you?
I'm afraid.
Sorry, Irina. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Was it the question for Luca?
Yeah, for Luca, yes.
Okay. No, the story goes that my dream has always been to be a trader on financial market. When I was 6, I almost obliged my father to take me to the local touristic exchange when we were on the Dolomites in the north of Italy, to check every day how the Italian lira versus Deutsche Mark was going. So for me, it was a game.
Wait, so you were interested in finances when you were 6, and you started to play chess when you were 10, as I remember. Yeah. So okay.
And chess for me has always been the way, a good way to travel, because it gave me the possibility to learn languages, and because I was in the school in my 4th grade of high school in Germany, in Würzburg, And I learned some Russian because the Russian books, the Fisculture sport books, were very cheap at the time in Italy. They were brought us by Yugoslavian players. Mm-hmm. And so I had to learn some Russian as well. And by playing chess tournaments abroad, I had the opportunity to analyze games with foreign players and to learn languages, to learn habits, to learn a new culture around Europe and generally speaking around the world, because chess is, after all, like music. You just have a chessboard and you can play everywhere in the world. So to me, chess has always been a mean to reach my goal of exploring what's outside Italy. And that's maybe one of the reasons why I played more abroad than in Italy. And then all the rest came almost automatically. So yeah, chess is part of my life, but also part of my job, because it's even my approach to investing is similar to advanced chess concept. So I use algorithms, I use softwares, but the final decision is mine. Mm-hmm. And that's like advanced chess.
Okay, great. Irina, do you have any questions, like some more things that you're curious about to ask?
I think I already asked all of them. I hope I didn't bore you, Luca, with them.
No, all very interesting and tough questions. Very tough.
That was my intention. Then it's good.
Yes. So thank you so much for being here, both of you. To take in part into this discussion. I hope that a lot of chess players would be inspired to be strong in finances, to learn about it. That also going to help chess in general. So we're going to have more and more successful people financially in chess. And when you are financially well, then also chess games can go well to you. I think everyone would agree with this. So I would just give both of you the final words, what you would like to advise or just to tell to our viewers and also chess players in general about the finances, and then we can just call it a day.
Well, first of all, thank you, Keti, for being such a wonderful host, and thank you for the invitation being here tonight. And well, I will just I think, quote Luca here in the end and say, let's just survive these tough days in, both financially and generally speaking, the world doesn't look the way I hoped these days.
Yeah.
Yes, for me, thank you again, Keti and Irina, for this interesting panel. And thanks to ACP for inviting me. I hope there will be some other chances to discuss this subject, very broad subject of chess and finance similarities. And I hope our followers and audience had some points to pick from our discussion today. Mm-hmm. And okay, what to say? After all, Botvinnik was right many years ago when he wrote in this book, Chess Player and Machine, chess is a game of trading. Mm-hmm. So maybe he was 50 years ahead of his time, but yeah, in the end, chess and trading and investing are very much related.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. So we had our guest today, Luca Barillaro, chess player and also independent financial advisor, and Irina Bulmaga, the professional chess player. Thanks very much to our viewers who were here with us and got interested to this topic and ask us some critical questions. And also, once again, this has been ACP panel discussion about the chess players and the finances. I hope this gonna be just the start of this topic. It's very important topic. And when the things are done with cheating scandals, I hope that we can then come back to these kind of topics, which are really, really important for all the chess players and also the chess itself. So thank you very much, everyone, and see you for the next time in the next topics. Bye.
Thank
you. Have a nice evening.
Bye. Have a nice evening.